Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. This is a special video editorial as I am getting an update from Forum Energy Metals, traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol FMC and on the OTCQB under the symbol FDCFF. Now, I am chatting with the Vice President of Exploration, Rebecca Hunter. I am bringing Rebecca on the show because I want her to recap a new discovery that was made on the company's Thelon Basin uranium project. This discovery was introduced to me while at the Beaver Creek conference when I met with Rebecca and her team at Forum Energy Metals. The company's initial results released on September 12th. That was one hole, the discovery hole. And then just recently on September 26th, we had results from the second hole. Now, there are still some drill results to come, but I had Rebecca put together a quick little slideshow for us to walk us through this discovery. So, Rebecca, first and foremost, let's move to the first slide here that is a map of this Thelon Basin uranium project. It shows where some of these targets are, where the drilling was. Please, Rebecca, take us through what led to this discovery.
Thanks a lot, Corey. Really glad to be here. So this is just a map, just to kind of hone you into where we are. So our Thelon project is in actually the Thelon Basin, which is north of the Athabasca Basin, still in Canada, and it's basically a geological analog to the Athabasca, just hasn't been explored. And so here's our claim map. We have about 95,000 hectares, and a lot of this work was done earlier, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago even, when I was with Cameco. And so while we were up there, we were a big boom again, looking for uranium, and two mineralized areas were found at that time. So Tadagak and Kavik, just the very start of it. But unfortunately, we basically tagged into these zones, Tadagak in particular, in 2010, and then Fukushima happened. So basically, everything ended. So we just got a few drill campaigns in, and then we were done. Also, the whole project area is just ripe with the ability to discover more. So all those other little blue dots on there are areas that are really good anomalies. Basically, made a few tests. We got a few tests into a couple of them, but for the most part, untested. So anyways, just ripe with potential. So much potential in this area. And then, of course, this press releases and everything that's super exciting right now is really surrounding Tadagak. And that's what our press releases are about.
Well, let's talk about this discovery at Tadagak then. The initial hole, as I said, September 12th was released. The headline number was 2.25% U3O8 over 11.1 meters. We see that on the right here. And then the follow-up hole from September 26th, a little bit lower grade, but it hits the same really width of that release of the initial drill hole, all at pretty similar depths too. So take us through what these first two holes are telling you about, I guess, the potential here at Tadagak.
And so this area is just really exciting because it's a very large anomaly. So basically, one way that we try to find these deposits in the Thelon is through gravity, because there's a lot of clay surrounding these deposits in the hanging wall in particular. And so this whole blue area on the main map here is this, what we call a gravity anomaly. And so it's 0.7 by 1.5 kilometers long. And essentially, all that's been drill tested to date is this small little box in the corner, the southwest quadrant. And so we did do some drilling with Cameco back when we were there 15 years ago, 10 years ago. But a lot of it was just early days. And so we were drilling basically steep holes, and basically we're hitting it and then not hitting it. And it was quite frustrating, actually. It's like, where is this going? So what we did when basically Cameco left, I didn't have a project anymore. And so I took that data and put it into a PhD thesis because I wanted to find more deposits up here because I know they're up here. It's just a matter of getting the money in and resources to drill them. So what I realized is that essentially these are really steep lenses. So there's basically stacked steep lenses rather than initially when we were drilling it, we were thinking, you know, it's more of a planar body, maybe moderate dipping. But after actually going through the data in detail, it's steep lenses. So just like Arrow, I guess, you know, like if you want an analog to that, you kind of Arrow is kind of an analog as well as Eagle Point. So it's kind of that sort of setting. So that changes everything. So now when Rick raised the money and we could, you know, get in here, I wanted to drill it right and test that. So really the first hole, so Tadagak 1, 2, when we got into there, it was drilling from the southwest at more of a moderate angle to hit those stacked lenses. And that's where we intersected that 2.25. So we have a really nice high grade lens within there. That's really exciting. And so that was basically our first result. And then after that, we had some very widely spaced drilling to the west. Again, a lot of them drilled not at the right orientation. And so I wanted to do a big step out and test in there to infill and also just to extend, because we had little sniffs in there, but not really any good mineralization. And so that's what the significance is of this press release we released today, was that we got, again, a little lower grades, but again, we're targeting a bit more to the south. So we wouldn't have hit that high grade, that really high grade lens that we intersected in the first hole there. So 0.4 over 12.8, super exciting. What's also exciting is that the whole zone is 24 meters wide. So, you know, you got a pretty significant mineralized zone, and it just shows the potential not only of all these stacked lenses, but also the strike extent. So 200 meters in one step out is pretty significant.
Yeah, that is an aggressive step out. 200 meters. We also see, looks like hole 4 that we're still waiting to get back from the assay lab. That is drilled kind of in between hole 2 and hole 3. What's the blue sky potential here then? It's so early on for this discovery that we can call it. What's the potential? Where do you go from here, even after we get hole 4 back from the assay lab?
So the main thing here is that we already know that you got these stacked lenses. We know that we have about 50 meters width on that. So we need to do fence drilling off these, even these 2 holes, 3 and 4, and basically infill that. So let's see how thick it is. Is it 50 meters? Is it more? So there's kind of potential just in these zones alone to the basically northwest and southeast, as well as a strike length. So we know that the Tadagak fault, which is kind of the main fault structure here where the mineralization has been found so far, is open. And so we need to, you know, target to the west, and then, you know, see what's in between, see if they're connected, and then keep chasing it to the northeast. That's where the big blue sky is, right into the heart of this anomaly. And then we also have all these other little sniffs. So I've kind of highlighted some of the drill holes that have had elevated uranium. And so one in particular is actually more in the northern part of the anomaly, and it's almost 1,000 ppm. And there actually is disseminated pitch blende in that intercept. And so we know that the rest of this anomaly is super fertile too. So you have all these other faults, and you all basically, you could just have a pretty enormous system coming through here. And that's what really excites us.
Okay, I know that you have one more slide for us. It's a cross section of the first hole. You want to take us through what you're trying to show on that third slide, please?
Yeah, so this is just a pictorial, very simplified cartoon showing those stacked lenses. This is actually a section for the first hole, so the initial press release. And so again, showing the intercepts, you got these really steep lenses, probably about 70 degrees. We have the whole width now. So instead of just having a planar body that's kind of dipping to the southeast, you have all these stacked lenses. So it actually increases potentially the size of this ore body. And then basically the extension, like I said before, there's still not a lot of drilling. Some of it was steep to the north. So we need to see if it actually extends to the to the northwest, as well as the southeast. So it's just really showing the potential. And this, again, if you step into the page, we'll just walk right into TAT 3 and the hole that we drilled that just came out in the press release is the same story. And so that's what's really good.
Okay, so it sounds like it's, at least right now, trying to see where this extends to, where the mineralization goes to, and just how big the potential is here at this Tadagak discovery. What should investors be watching for in terms of news flow coming out of the company then?
So the big thing is that in a week or two, we should finally have our fourth hole that we drilled. So the one that's kind of between the two. And so that will show some really good news as well. So that's the main one. And we also have, we did some geophysics on this Tadagak anomaly. So we did some passive seismic. It's kind of new, but I'm excited about it because it hopefully the plan is that it'll be able to image the alteration. And if it can image the alteration, then we know a depth to target, and we should be able to more effectively target throughout this anomaly and hit the mineralized zones that we hope that are in there.
So do you have any plans on when you could be following up with more holes in and around this area?
So because it's the Arctic and it's, it's cold and minus 60, we won't be up there until June. So we hope to do a big 2-drill program this upcoming summer and hopefully get about 12,000 meters. And so, but the news flow for that will start in the summer. So we'll be drilling from June to October, and that's our plan.
Okay. So I guess in summary, this is becoming pretty quickly the focus for the company moving forward, following up on this discovery and seeing just how much you can grow it, extend the mineralized footprint.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely forms flagship property. And so the plan, we need to establish that this is a much larger deposit. And bring it up to 43-101 as well. We won't do that right away, but in the next couple years, that's when we would like to have an actual resource depicted on this. And then also we want to spend some of that money to testing the rest of the property and all the other potential. Kavik, which is also another mineralized zone that we haven't really focused on, is the same sort of setting. And again, could probably be drilled at a more optimal angle. And we could probably, it's very likely we'd be able to bring up that resource as well. So that's exciting. And then as well as the rest of the property, there's just so much potential.
Okay. Rebecca, thank you very much for putting together these slides and these maps, walking us through just the first 2 drill holes at this Tadagak discovery. If anybody has any follow-up questions for Rebecca or the team at Forum Energy Metals, please email me. I'll get them to address those and probably follow up as we get some of the remaining holes to come back from the assay lab, and then any follow-up information on follow-up drill programs for next year. Rebecca, thank you very much for taking time and sharing these slides with us.
Thanks a lot, Corey.